Arena Podcast, the podcast where we help founders hurdle the challenges of early stage ventures. We're your hosts. I'm Karl Leung.
And I'm Marco Mandante. Today we will talk about how to invest in Smart Nation, specifically on critical infrastructure, security, and disaster relief.
Our guest today is Karl Leung, Managing Director of Emerging Asia Capital Partners, that's EACP. EACP is a boutique advisory firm and investment bank that focuses on energy, infrastructure, and mining transactions in the fast-growing Asian economy.
Carl is also the co-founder and chief visionary officer of Go Philippines, a newly formed public-private coalition that unites local and international stakeholders to drive smart and sustainable programs for the Philippines. So given the current geopolitical climate and increasing frequency and intensity of natural disasters, Go Philippines' initial focus is on cybersecurity as well as on disaster relief. So, hey Carl, let's bring you up here on stage.
Thank you very much, Carla and Mac, for the thorough introduction about myself. Hi, everybody. So I am currently the Managing Director for Emerging Asia Capital Partners in the Philippines. I've been in this role for the past 10 years. And okay, great. So we're focused on emerging Asian countries. We've done projects in Africa related to mining and infrastructure. Our main offices are in Bangkok and Jakarta, and I'm heading the Manila office. And as a boutique financial advisory firm, investment bank, we focus on project financing, capital raising, M&A, structured finance, corporate strategy, restructuring, and privatization. Our bread and butter is infra, power, and utilities. We also do metal and mining and energy, natural resources. And from time to time, we come across deals related to chemicals, financial, and hospitality. EACP is part of the Global Alliance Partners, GAP. Gives us global reach, not only in Asia, but around the world in Africa, North America, and Europe. For the deals we've done here in Asia, I'd like to zero in on the projects we've done in Thailand, Indonesia, Myanmar, and Vietnam. So for Thailand, we've done mass transit energy efficiency, IPP, and LNG projects. And later on, I'll be zeroing in on a case study for the BTS mass transit project we did in Thailand. For Indonesia, we've done IPP and LNG projects, mass transit projects, oil and gas projects, and logistic projects. And in Myanmar, we've done similar deals, IPP, LNG. And in Vietnam, we've done logistics, natural resources, cement, and F&B projects. And now let me go straight to our case study for today, which is a project we did in Thailand. EACP was the financial advisor for the fundraising of a $1.7 billion mass transit project called the BTS Bangkok Mass Transit System. We oversaw a strategic consortium and the financing of the project, which included infrastructure companies, property development companies, contractors, financial investors, and lenders. So people will ask, how do we go about landing these deals and getting the mandate from our clients? So the first thing we have as a strength in EACP is trust and credibility with the client. And we showcase that by showing the past deals we've done. And of course, the most important thing is the clients have to see us as professional and we're able to deliver projects on a timely basis. So here's an example of the EPC tender and financing we did for the BTS SkyTrain, where we eventually advised the Tanayong Group to choose Siemens ITT as the EPC contractor. So in a typical deal like this, what happens is EPC is the financial advisor. We do a proper KYC. We do due diligence on all of the documentations, the government permits, legal contracts, and all these things. And we want to make sure that our client and the developer and the project do not have any snags or any legal impediments. We also want to make sure that the government contracts are all and these are all important steps to getting the project to financial closure. Because, equity investors, banks will not invest in a company or invest big money in such a project without us ticking all of the boxes, right? Making sure that the project has been de-risked. So what typically happens is once we've done the KYC, draft contracts on behalf of the various parties, we also draft contracts for the government or with the government. And once we have all of this in place, we reach out to our network of our families, We also reach out to like multilateral agencies, organizations such as ADB and all of these other funding agencies. And we reach out to banks across the region, in the country, and around the world to let them know that we're the advisors for this project and that this project has been de-risked and has been proper due diligence has been conducted. So these are the main components for putting a deal together. As I mentioned, that the most important thing is the client advisor trust relationship. That has to be solid, because if you don't have that foundational base solid, the deal can easily fall apart, right? There has to be like that synergy between the client and the advisor, and they have to work as a team to make sure that everybody is on the same page when pitching to banks, pitching to equity investors, and talking to government agencies and officials.
Thank you so much, Carl. That is really insightful. The advices that you gave are really invaluable. So, could you share a quick example of the strategies, the trust between the client and the investor side? When does it begin, and how do you start that process?
Well, it begins, of course, from the ground up with networking, right? I attend various events where I meet like the CFOs or the CEOs or the owners of these big conglomerates that have financing needs. They might have a project where they need financing for a railway project or a power project. So it's really networking. It's a numbers game. You have to be out there giving your cards and for people to get to know you. And then from there, an intro call so that they get to know what you do and the services you render. And then what I usually do is I look for low hanging fruits where we can potentially advise that client on fundraising, right? The big clients don't want to start with projects until you've proven yourself. So you want to start small, bite size, maybe a $20 million project, $50 million project. And then once you have that trust established, then you can go bigger, right? And for us as an advisory firm in investment bank, we target the big one, the big deals, right? It's the same amount of work to do due diligence, draft legal documents, do financial modeling and all that, right?
Preparation is the key. So, Mac?
Yeah, so thanks for bringing that one up, Carl. There are a lot of companies right now that are trying to set up also solar farms. For example, there's a group that actually approached us like for a 10 megawatt project, for instance. How does the valuation work in this context, Carl? Can you share a bit about that?
Well, the valuation really depends on a number of things, mainly the cost of the solar panels, right? Acquisition or rental, right? Those are the major costs for putting up a solar plant, right? Of course, the other costs are related to, the permitting, the feasibility study done, and all that.
I am really drawn to asking you, where did you?
How did I begin this? So,
Yes.
well, I'm an economist by training. So, of course, I've been exposed to macroeconomics and financial markets. I know the basics of investment banking because of that. And my first role was actually teaching. I was teaching macroeconomics. And eventually I wanted to get my feet wet, my hands dirty. So I got into banking, but not investment banking. I got into private banking, advising ultra high net worth families here in the Philippines on how to invest their funds in bonds, currency, stocks, derivatives, commodities, and all that, right? So that gave me a big macro picture of how money works and how to build relationships and how to advise high net worth families and individuals on their investments. So that's the secondary market. Eventually, after having done private banking at Morgan Stanley, I got into investment banking in a boutique investment bank, which is EACP. And basically, that's advising corporations and high net worth families on investing their projects in actual projects, not in bonds, not in stocks that are traded, but in actual investments in power plants and railways, infrastructure, power, solar plants, and all that, right? So it's the same soft skills you need to develop that relationship. It's just that the channel for the money is different. It's more actual, hard projects that you're looking at, as opposed to like
So,
financial instruments that are being traded in the stock market or in the secondary markets.
really fascinating. What's the best way to reach you, by the way?
Well, it's really through LinkedIn or email or phone, right? Numerous networking events is LinkedIn because everything is written down there, and then I have my email there, and they can just message me on LinkedIn.
And as well as the website of KCP.
Yeah, we have a website, eacp.asia.
That's fantastic. So thank you so much for the insights that you provide us and the strategies.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Let me capture a couple key takeaways from what Carl mentioned. I was able to write down a couple of notes here, Carla, right? Number one, it's important to build trust. I appreciate what Carl mentioned, whereby the founders could also learn from this, where even him being the managing director of EACP, still goes to networking events, does the work, doing the legwork, being on the ground to meet all of these founders, the decision makers, and whatnot, right? And the focus of EACP as well is focused on solving problems with real impact. And what I like about the value proposition is that it's really focused not only on Asia, but more importantly here in the Philippines, like him being the man on the ground on a mission to solve problems that are really worth solving, such as energy, cybersecurity, and so forth. And then thank you for bringing up the highlight to keep up, the investor and client relationship on the get-go, which forms part of a bigger component on the due diligence process. So thank you for those insights, Carl. Really appreciate that. And guys, if you found value in today's episode, please follow the Founders Arena on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as on YouTube, and join our community at exoasia.org/Founders Arena. We're here to connect early stage founders with strategic investors. So, Carla?
Yes, until then, I'm Carla.
And I'm Mako Mandante, and this is the Founders Arena. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.